Hello and welcome to the Stretch Yourself the Empowerment Podcast. This is the show for entrepreneurs and people that are all about staying focused and engaging on improving their relationships in business and in life. And on this episode, imagine there was a secret recipe to a successful and everlasting marriage. Would you want it? Of course you would. Meaning, are you contemplating divorce or separation, or are you already going through one? Or do you want to make the relationship work? Well, that's exactly what we're going to help you with on this week's show, where you'll find out what the picture looks like to be divorced, tips on how to avoid it if it's not too late, and an insight into what the greener grass honestly looks like. And who better to stir it up than today's guest on the Empowerment Podcast, Jennifer Hurvitz. Jennifer is a relationship coach, best-selling author, and the voice and host of Doing Divorce Right podcast. Jennifer is known for her no-nonsense approach to dating after divorce. Jennifer's dating and relationship blog, The Truth Hurvitz, became an overnight success that culminated into a pilot series that won Best Television Episode Screenplay at the Atlanta Comedy Film Festival. She's the author of One Happy Divorce, Hold the Bullshit, and her new book, Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, A Divorce Coach's Guide to Staying Married, was released in February, and right now it is listed as number 5 in the top 10 marriage books to read with your partner for a successful and healthy relationship. Happily divorced since 2014, Jennifer lives in Charlotte with her 2 teenage boys and helps people understand what a happy divorce looks like and how to dip their toes back into the dating world. And she also shares her insight on how to stay in a successful marriage. Again, her new book, Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, is available on Amazon, Warren Publishing, and wherever books are sold in your area. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, what an awesome intro. You don't get to do all that. I love it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. You know, I always love my intros, like I said before, and it's always a pleasure and a privilege to have some great and wonderful people like you on the show to help some upward thinking, mindful people and making an impact in this world. So we are truly grateful and appreciative, and I'm sure the Stretch Yourself community and the family all across the world is going to be happy to hear from you. So thank you.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, as we always start off the show, we always love the juicy juice. And if you know juicy juice is the backstory of things that has happened. So, if you can give us a brief synopsis of what happened within your marriage and how everything evolved around the things that you went through.
Well, where do I start? Let me think. Well, here's the thing, I'll tell you. So, I got divorced. Probably, it's been four years, and in Charlotte, you have to be separated for a full year before you can actually, get divorced. It's a little bit strange. I just thought to myself, my ex and I call him my husband and I, we were amicable. We had a really great, easy divorce. We both just felt like it was not, we were kind of, not in the right place. It wasn't working, and we parted ways. And you know what? We had the best of the worst divorce, and that was it. It seemed like really simple, but as we got going, we realized, divorce really sucks. It just really sucks. Right? It does. Well, this is G-rated, right? I can't swear. I'm not going to keep my...
No, you're fine. You're perfectly fine. You can. This is not G-rated.
So, okay, so, as I went forward, and my kids at the time were, 11 and 9, you realize that, it really is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought, we'll be amicable, and everyone will still talk to us, and it'll be great, and they'll team whatever, and blah, blah. And it started to really unfold, and I thought to myself, this is not, the divorce grass is not greener.
Okay.
It's horrific, and, it's awful. And I started to write, and I wasn't a writer at the time, but I started writing this blog, The Truth Hurvitz, and people started listening to my stories, and it was cathartic for me. But at the same time, I started writing, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, this girl is basically writing what I'm thinking." And it started to kind of snowball, and then this just came into fruition, and I kept writing, and that was it. So that's kind of where I am now. Short version, but I'm just trying to help people now realize that, Ron, divorce does not it's not the end all be all. I feel like you should, if I could give my book that I wrote now, woulda, coulda, shoulda, to me when I was going through my divorce, I may not have done it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense. It does make perfect sense.
Yeah. So, one of those things.
So, give me a couple of tips on why you stayed married, because I know you was talking about it and you was like, we're amicable. I love that word because people, it's like, oh, we were amicable. We can make this thing work. And sometimes we think we can make it work and it really doesn't pan out the way we have or where we thought it would be, because we thought we'd have everything planned out, and it's not going to happen that way. So what are some tips that they should do before they get into that? Okay, we got to, I'm military, so let's pull the ripcord, on the parachute, and let's just dump everything and let's just have a divorce. What are some tips you can give them before they get to that break point?
Well, here's the thing. Let me start by saying that I am not advocating staying in a marriage that is, emotionally or physically abusive.
Okay.
Just to say that right off the bat.
Okay.
If you're in a marriage that you need to get out of, obviously you go ahead and you get out of that, right?
Yes.
But I'm talking about those marriages that, your heart doesn't flutter anymore when the garage door opens at the end of the day. It's like or you're not having enough sex. I mean, come on now. Like, if you're at that place where you're 7 years in and, love is changing and you're not in love anymore, you can work on that, love the one you're with. And I really feel strongly that, like, people are so quick. They're so quick to jump to divorce, and they think that it's like it's going to be better, right? You're going to date and you're going to get out there and you're going to, but guys, it's not like that, right? So I have this, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I have this secret to a successful relationship, and I really feel like it's a lot can be done before you sign those papers. That I think we forget. We forget that, it's not about actually finding the right partner. It's about being the right partner.
Ooh.
And we forget. Yeah, right?
Light bulb.
I learned that from a really good friend of mine, a really good divorce coach that I work with. He's like, look around. But it's not about, you have to put the kids first, right? We always say put the kids first when you're married. But what about putting your spouse first?
True.
What about spending time and, really cultivating that relationship you have so that your kids can be happy because you're happy?
True.
Right?
Yes.
And let me tell you, if you're not having sex, that's not okay. It's not okay. I have girlfriends that were like, oh, no, we haven't had sex in 6 weeks. It's fine. It's not fine. Not fine. You guys, y'all have to have sex. You have to have intimacy in order to have a good relationship. That's just, you have to. So that's my big thing is, sex is number one. You got to have sex. And number two, I think that, stop me if I go too far.
No, go ahead. Please, go ahead.
But number two for me, so number one is sex. You got to have it. You got to have it. And number two for me is, speaking. I do my 3 S's. So sex is number one. Number two is speak less and listen more. So silence, right? Actually speaking to each other, like speak, guys. Like when women, I think we speak a lot. We nag and we're always constantly nagging on the guy, nagging. So speak a little less, and then the guys, maybe men need to listen to their women a little bit more, right?
Yes.
So listen to what they're actually saying, and I think that communication is such a big issue in marriages. But if the women are always nagging and the men aren't really listening, the men shut down.
True.
Right? Because the women are nagging.
True.
So we have to kind of get that that nice mix of what's too much and what's not enough. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense. I have some clients that's talked to me, and they haven't had sex in years. That's not even 6 weeks. I mean, it's like years. And they talk about their wives always nagging, and they wish she would be quiet, and she never listens. And I totally understand. I mean, me and my wife and I, we've been married it'll be 19 years this month.
Oh, for you.
Oh no! Listen, we've been going through it. But I've learned from you, and I've learned from other people to just listen more, not just for a response, but really listen to what they're truly saying. So I totally I totally understand that. That is something,
it's hard.
And it's very hard because you're emotionally tied into that person. If you are having intimacy and you're having sex, you emotionally have emotional connection, and they get, like they say, under your skin, because they are literally
Yes.
under your skin.
Yes.
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 Yes. So you do have to
And
have some patience and understanding. Yes.
Yes. And relationships are work, right? All relationships are work, whether you're dating or you're married or you're divorced. Relationships take work.
Yes, they
So
do.
if you think that it's going to be easier, divorce is going to be less work than staying married, you're wrong. I mean, ding dong, you're wrong. Like it's so. I just think that people are so quick to sign those papers because they think, oh, it's been so hard, my marriage, but it'll be easier. Oh my gosh, it's just so not.
True.
So when I wrote my second book, Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, I really feel like I was honest, brutally honest, in saying here's the truth, y'all. And who better to say it than someone who's divorced and lived it, right? And my third thing with the third S is smiling. Smiling. It sounds so simple, but just being happy. Learning that life doesn't have to be so serious all the time, but actually have fun with one another. And when your man comes home at the end of the day, or your wife comes home at the end of the day, greet her or him with a smile and be kind, because I think we forget so often to be nice.
True. No, and
and
you're perfectly right, because usually we fall into that routine to where we just go through the mundane every days and we just take that for granted. And one of the things that we talk about, and in this year in Stretch Yourself, my brand, is Project Self-Love. We talk about working on ourselves. So when you're working on yourself to be the best that you can be in that marriage, is doing those things, is doing those kind acts, is making sure that you're being that best person, that best version, because the grass, like you said, is not greener on the other side. You're just not taking care of your grass. Your grass is just looking like crap because you're not putting fertilizer on it, and you're not watering it, and you're not taking care of it. So of course the grass is going to look greener on the other side till you realize it is not. So yes, that is great. So the reconnectivity, reconnecting with your partner, you said, and I'm just going to go over everything very, very briefly. You said more sex. Sex is good. Sex makes the communication, the intimacy, everything. So because you have those quiet moments, you have those pillow talks and things like that you have. Right. And then the second one that you said was speak less and listen more. And I think this is probably one of the biggest things that we all discuss in everything that we talk about is communication, and making sure that you have effective communication. Just not listen, just not hearing what a person is saying just to get a response, but actively listening to understand truly what that person is saying. And then the last thing is just smiling and being kind. Being you in that relationship, and not changing yourself because that person is changing in that relationship. Does that make sense?
Right.
Because usually we do things out of vindictive things. We say, okay, since he's not doing this, I'm not going to do that, and I'm just going to be this way. Yeah.
Right. It's that resentment. We built up that resentment. Well, he didn't, I asked him to take out the trash, and he didn't do it, so you know what? I'm just going to be a bitch today because look, we all have our days, right? We all have our days.
Yes.
And I can remember when I was married, it just built up, and then I was just this emasculating, awful person. I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I? What was? But I owned up to it, and my ex and I, we both said, oh my gosh, what were we thinking? But now we were able to do that 5 years out.
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm using the lessons that I've learned in my relationship that I have now. I'm in a happy relationship for 2 years with my boyfriend, and I'm using those skills that I honed, and I'm helping other people to stay in those relationships.
That is incredible.
So,
That is incredible. That is incredible. So we got over the juicy juice, and hopefully the Stretch Yourself community will really delve into this and really listen and learn. They really enjoy it. So I'm so excited that we was able to share that with them. So let's say, okay, we could not get through all of this. We couldn't make it work. And we've signed the papers, and now we're going through that divorce. Now we're going into that life after divorce. So what are some tips or some keys that you can help somebody in that divorce life, and they're going through it? Yes.
Yeah, my biggest tip, and what I tell when I'm coaching with my divorcees, and I say my first tip is, I really feel strongly that you should not be dating, and maybe you agree or don't, and people can call in. I feel like you need a year. I feel like you need 1 year after you get divorced to just get your head and your heart healed. I feel like people jump into new relationships far too quickly and are not ready for that kind of commitment. And the first one out of the gate is the most difficult, the relationship, and I feel like you need to wait. I feel like you just need to wait to date. So I tell my people, wait to date, and until you've been divorced for a full year, that's just not allowed. Now, look, if you want to go have sex and do what you're saying, you haven't had sex in 5 years, go ahead, be my guest. But I do not let my clients date for a year. And that's it.
Okay.
That's what I say. That's my shtick.
And I totally agree with you. I think, and this is just for me on the other side of the coin, I think we carry a lot of luggage from that previous relationship that we haven't gotten over, some hurtful scars and things. And I'm just going to I'll go back to when I was dating. When I was dating, I went through a lot of things and a lot of scars. So what I did was, I'm just going to have fun. I'm going to do Ron. And I'm just going to have some great friends that I can have fun with, but there's not going to be no dating. And I had women approach me that said, hey, listen, I really like to have a relationship with you. And I said, no, I'm not ready. And I knew I was not ready. And so I took ownership and accountability and responsibility for myself. And I said, I just want to have fun. Now, that fun could have culminated into many different things, but I just wanted to have fun and just be me in that relationship and just have a friendship, if you wanted to say. And so that's how I really learned about myself, what I liked, what I didn't like, and how I was comfortable in being me. And then that's how I met my wife. So I totally agree. I totally agree with that. Perfect.
Yep. And that's exactly what I tell my clients. I really feel, you have to get in that space again of being, you're alone. I feel like, divorce is kind of a mask for that of a guest. You're grieving the loss of a relationship that you once had and a life that you thought you were going to always have, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of emotions that you have to come to grips with.
Yep.
So clarity is really important.
Clarity is really important, and finding yourself, because I think when we're in a relationship like I was in that relationship that I was talking about, I lost myself. I lost myself in that relationship, meaning I was doing so much because my dad was the consummate gentleman. So he was the one, he was married to my mom for 40 plus years before she passed away. And so I had a great example. So when I was in relationships, I just automatically assumed that everybody was going to be that way, and it was not that way. So I lost myself in that relationship, and I had to find myself again. So I totally agree with you on that.
Yep. And also, if kids are involved, it's hard for them to see mom or dad, jump right into a relationship. It's really difficult. And for me, my biggest thing is putting your kids first.
True.
Is just absolutely putting, that for me is just the end all be all. And what's most important is the children. The children are the children. So that's a big thing for me. So, for me, that's just, bad thing.
So after the year is over and they start dating, what is next?
Dating. I could do a whole show on dating. Actually, I have done many shows on dating. Dating is just so different now. It's so different. And my poor client, I'll tell you, I was just through hell and back dating. These dating apps and the technology and the new, for God's sake, I just can't even do, it's awful. It's awful. I just feel like, there are so many things that you can do to protect yourself, obviously. And, the apps are tough, but what are you going to do? Sit home? No, you got to date. You've got to date.
True.
So, you just have to. You have to put yourself out there. And I think that once you're ready to do it, you have to give yourself a little, you have to step. I think a lot of people beat themselves up, and they go into dating, a lot of, I don't want to be, but a lot of women go into dating with anger. They're so angry. And you can't go into dating angry. You can't. You've got to let your baggage, take your baggage with you and find someone to unpack it. But if you go into a date and you're mad and you talk about your ex and that's not going to work. No one's going to date someone who's still talking badly about the ex.
True. And they still haven't gotten over it if they're still talking about it. Because if it's still painful and they're holding emotions around it, that is probably the most important thing, that they haven't gotten over it. That for me would be okay, it's been great talking with you, and I won't have to see you again. Definitely.
Yes. And that's really the biggest red flag. No one, men, women, I don't care if you're, even men going into a date talking about no one's ready to date someone who is still beaten up on the ex or telling the stories about, it's just, No one. It's, negativity is really, the sexiest thing a person can wear is confidence.
True.
Right? And I always tell everyone, you've got to go into that date, you've got to hold your head high, you've got to put on a smile, get dressed up, and just go and enjoy. And even if it turns out that the person isn't a match, it's a friend. Or maybe that person has someone that they know to fix you up with.
Yes.
So, right?
Wow, Jennifer, you just touched something that I talked about, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's what I
talk too much. Go.
No. That's what I say. I tell people. I said, don't go into a relationship with expectations. No expectations, no perceptions. And if you want to date, just go ahead and date. It's okay. That person that you may be dating may not be that one for you, but he or she may take you to an event and you may meet that person. But you never know because you're putting expectations and perceptions on this one person that you already have drilled in, that you think he's going to be the one or she's going to be the one. She's everything that you think. And it's not that way.
Exactly. Oh my God, I love you. Completely, totally, we are like on the same page. Why does everyone have to be the one?
Yes.
Why does everyone have to go into dates thinking, oh my gosh, this could be the one?
Yes.
How about for now? How about you just date someone for now?
Right.
Oh, I just don't understand.
Oh my God, we are so much alike. Yes.
I could scream. I'm like, guys, who knows? You could date someone for 3 months and it's still not the right person, but at least it was just fun for now.
It was exactly.
Just enjoy. I know it's tough.
It's tough.
And I feel for everybody. It's just divorce is just really, really tough. It is. It's tough.
Yes.
But
yes.
You get through it. You get through it. You get through it.
And so the last thing that I want to discuss with you, and man, we can talk for hours. I know we can. I know because we are just on the same sheet of music. I can just see us, and I'm off the beaten path now. I can just see us in a same event together, just truly just going off. So it would be wonderful. So the co-parenting.
We could have a talk show.
Yes, we could.
You're coming on my podcast too. You have to come on my show. This will be fun. I can't wait.
I'm definitely there. It's going to be fun. So okay. So the co-parenting and I want the question that I think is, and the question that I want to ask you is, how can they co-parent effectively? And then more importantly, how can they co-parent without using those kids as that leverage to get back? Because I've seen that and I've heard that before with people that's leveraged their kids, and it is just terrible.
Yes. Well, I'm a huge advocate of positive co-parenting. And it's funny, my podcast this morning, I had an amazing guest who said something that was so cool about co-parenting. I'm going to steal what she said. She said that she separates her relationship. She has her ex-husband relationship and her co-parenting relationship. So her parenting one. Do you see what I'm saying? So she has two completely, and I loved that because she says that she has a relationship that she talks, like, do you see what I'm saying? She says she could never co-parent effectively if she didn't separate the two, which I loved because, she talks to her ex when she has to, but then in front of the kids, she's a co-parent, which is just like she clicks on it. I thought that was awesome because here's the thing. If you can't co-parent effectively, who fails? Who loses? The kids.
The kids lose. Yes.
The kids lose. So you have to take that ego. This is what I talk about in my book. Take your ego and shove it out the door because put your ego aside and your kids first.
Yes.
Because the only thing that matters in this co-parenting relationship are your children.
Yes.
Because if you're going to badmouth or fight with your ex in front of those kids, you're just bad-mouthing the kids because they're part of that parent.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
That is true. Man, that's very true.
What good are you doing? So it's just negativity all around. And those babies, they're just, looking at you like, Mom, what in the God, what are you doing?
Yes. And what happened? Because they're like, I thought you loved Daddy. And, they're going through all type of stuff. And it builds stuff in them too as well, which it builds probably that resentment because they love both of you guys.
Exactly.
And you're forcing them to make a choice. You're forcing them to make a choice.
It's unacceptable. And my ex and I, we have 3 things we're really big on. And with everyone I tell my clients, flexibility, accessibility, and kindness and respect. We are flexible with each other when we have to be. We're accessible, meaning that, like, if I text him and it's about the kids, he responds immediately and vice versa. If it's about the kids, we even if I'm on with my boyfriend, we're somewhere and we're busy, I respond. Then we respect each other. You know, if he texts me and he says, "Look, I'm on a date with so and so," I respect his boundaries.
Yeah.
And then we're kind to each other. We're always kind in front of the kids, no matter what.
Yeah.
That's my thing. So you know what? If you can do that, then you can co-parent.
True. Now, one of the things that I do in my relationship now that I think would be key for you to hear is I would never say anything bad about my wife in front of the kids. That's just a general rule. And
good for you.
If we are arguing by chance and the kids happen to hear it, I explain what we're arguing about to make sure that they understand that it's not about them. Mommy and daddy's just having a miscommunication. This is what daddy wants. This is what mommy wants. And this is where we're trying to come to an agreement. Now, sometimes my wife, you know, she goes through it and then sometimes she doesn't. She just says the gloves are all off. And then I say, okay, you're not respecting this. It's not like a timeout time. I don't want to talk about this. We'll talk about this at a later time when we're both calmed down and we're at an even keel. Because we don't need the
But you know what, that's great. Because the kids see you, it's conflict mediation, right? They see you make up.
Yeah.
They see that you're, and that's healthy. It's healthy for the kids to see you fighting and making up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'll tell you what happened with my ex and I. We used to fight on the front porch. So my neighbors were like, "What the hell's going on at that house?" But guess what happened? When we got divorced, my kids were like, "What do you mean? We never saw you fight. What do you mean?" So it was really, really bad because they were like, they couldn't. It was such a shock to them because they know. But you know what I'm saying? The kids need to see you fight.
Yes.
And they need to see you make up. They need to see you make up because it's good for them to see you conflict mediate.
Yes.
Mediate conflict. It's great.
Yes.
So that's good for you guys. Good for you. Cool.
And I always tell my girls, I say, listen, daddy and mommy love each other. We would not be arguing if we didn't love each other so much.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Good for you.
Yeah.
Love it. You're good stuff.
It's a work in progress. I tell you that. It's always a work in progress. So,
Sure
is there anything that you want to share with the Stretch Yourself audience? Listen, guys, hey, let me just start first by doing my plugs. Listen, Woulda, Shoulda, Coulda, the Divorce Guide to Staying Married was released, and it is available now wherever books are sold. Listen, you can go out there on Amazon. You can go out there on her website. She's on her website.
Thank you. You know who was chosen for Oprah? Did I tell you? Was it OprahMagazine.com? Did I tell you that?
OMG. OMG.
Yes, OprahMagazine.com.
That is...
OprahMagazine.com picked it for the number 5 best marriage book to read with your partner for a healthy relationship.
That is awesome and incredible, and I'm sure the Stretch Yourself community will be tuning in and buying the book and getting everything that they can to read about you, hear about you. And she's available on social media. What is your login, and what is your login on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook?
You can find me anywhere. Jennifer Hurvitz is on Instagram. Jennifer Hurvitz Biz. And
okay.
JenniferHurvitz.com. Jennifer Hurvitz everywhere. I just am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me so much. I adore you. This is awesome.
Thank you, Jennifer. And as always, it is a pleasure and a privilege to have you on the show. And I'm sure the Stretch Yourself community is going to love this. And we do definitely have to do a follow-up. And I look forward to being on your show as well.
Can't wait. Can't wait to have you.
Thanks for listening to Stretch Yourself, the Empowerment Podcast. There are hundreds and thousands of podcasts out here, and I want to personally thank you for choosing my podcast to help you build a better relationship in business and in life. To listen and download more interviews like this one, subscribe to the channel. It is available on iTunes and Google Play for download. Connect with me socially, keyword Stretch Yourself. Thanks for listening.